Hello, hello. Welcome to the Circle of Fame. And today we have panel discussion number 5. And the topic of our panel discussion will be From Vision to Reality, crafting roadmap for personal success. We all know how important it is to have the clear vision, definite purpose, big goals, and of course, the structured plan to achieve their goals. And today we have all these amazing world-class experts who came to share with you their expertise, their knowledge. And the mission of the Circle of Fame is to inspire growth and unite the visionaries. And who is listed for our panel discussion? If you are looking for mentor, for consultant, for the coach, you always can reach out to these amazing people to learn more how you can work with them and how you can also achieve your big goals. Before we start our panel discussion, I would like every of experts who are participating today with us in this panel discussion to briefly introduce themselves. And I would like to start from Dr. Annika.
Hello, happy to be here again. I'm Dr. Annika Sorensen, a medical doctor from Sweden, where I am also a stress mentor and calm strategist. I help stressed out C-suite leaders, the ones that are overwhelmed and wake up in the middle of the night and feel that something is wrong. I help them to find a better life, be the great leader they want to be. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Thank you, Rich Kozak.
Good morning, and great to be here with all of you. Thanks for having us, Elena. My name is Rich Kozak. I'm a branding consultant and guide. For 48 years, I've been defining and languaging brands, much of that for large companies. But for the last 10 years, only with individuals who are impact-driven, who want to make impacts on others' lives or businesses because of their own gifts or their own calling. And they're stuck in how to get to the highest level of impacts because they don't understand the branding as a process and the necessity to literally evolve the way you're perceived to be welcome, to be able to make those higher level impacts. So it has a lot to do with achieving, not just achieving goals, but stepping into purpose, creating a platform for a business or work that literally gives you a wonderful place to step into purpose. So great to be here. Wonderful colleagues. Good to see you all again.
Thank you, Rich. And next I want Will Steele to introduce himself.
Thank you, Elena. Yes, I'm Will Steele. I've been coaching and leading transformational programs now for 27 years. I led programs to over 90,000 people around the world in 26 different countries and been translated simultaneously. And these programs are 3.5 days long. I've been leading my own programs in the last couple of years, mainly in the Middle East. And I'm a coach. I coach business owners, entrepreneurs, C-suite executives in business development and leadership. And what I specialize in is getting to what's holding you back, what's stopping you developing your business, what's holding you back from taking the moves you know you need to make, or sometimes with lack of clarity, getting you clear so you can see the moves you need to make and then go and make those moves. So it's all about action and getting out of the way, whatever's stopping you from taking that action.
Thank you, Will. Great to have you here today. Farzin Mazinani.
Yeah, my name is Farzin Mazinani. I feel great to be among all people who are contributing in here. And so I'm a coach, mentor, healer. It means that I look at the root cause, not the band-aid solutions. What is important for me is to find the root cause, which is usually in the subconscious mind or the deeper level that we have. And then I help high achievers to move forward with joy and ease instead of hustle and grind by alignments. It means that we all know that we want to move forward, but sometimes there's a cost. So I help them to reduce the cost and move forward with alignments.
Thank you, Farzin. Amazing. How amazing and great specialists and experts we have today in our panel discussion. And the next I would like to introduce himself, Peter Beckingham.
Hello, Elena. Hello, everybody. Peter Beckingham. I'm an Australian, but I've been living in Thailand, in fact, in a remote little Thai village for 28 years. What do? I work with small business owners online, and I show them how to grow their business by ditching the sales pitch and focusing what is really important, and that is the problems they have to solve for their potential target audience. Do only that, and you'll do very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Alan Edwards.
Hi, Elena. Hi, everybody. I'm Alan Edwards. I'm based in Hampshire in the UK, and I'm a property investment and development expert. And what that means is we solve property problems and we transform property value. So if you've got a problem property, for instance, one that's unused or underused, then we can transform it into a higher value. I've done this sort of thing for contractors, consultants, clients all my life, and essentially worked on projects from the smallest to the largest. And there isn't much about transport or commercial or residential or mixed-use developments, hotels that I haven't solved in the past. So if you've got any sort of property problem, just reach out to me.
Thank you, Alan. And next is Vangelis Calogero.
Vangelis Calogero. Yeah, currently I'm in Costa Rica, and thank you so much for having me here and being with all these esteemed colleagues. I have been in the business technology world for 46 years now, and because of the ability to work with all the different types of technologies, I started doing artificial intelligence back in 2016. And most of the issues that the companies had, the executives, the scientists, and all that, was interdepartmental communication. And is basically being able to translate between all the different pieces. AI is not a product, it's not an application. It's an assembly of all these technologies and people. And many times I'm hired to resolve a technical issue, and it ends up being stuff in their minds, mindsets, consciousness, because AI is moving in that direction. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want also to introduce our moderator today, who is Paul Angelle, and also he's my dear friend. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. I'm kind of an enigma. I'm a trained attorney based in Louisiana in the United States. I'm also an entrepreneur. I founded and launched and sold multiple successful companies. And I also had about 20 years sales career. I was in sales management, and sales training. For the past 10 years, I've worked as a fractional C-suite advisor with an inappropriate relationship with growth. I like to grow businesses, and my niche is law firms.
Thank you. And we have also Daniel Kobryne. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Elena. Hello, everybody. Very happy to be here. So I'm Daniel Kobryne. I'm French. I've been living in the UK for 25 years. I'm a life and business coach and international motivational speaker. So I'm helping small business owners and entrepreneurs who feel stuck, who don't have a direction really, to get back clarity, confidence, and get their power back in order to live the most fulfilling and purposeful life possible.
Thank you so much. So now it is time to start our main part of panel discussion. And Paul will be our moderator today. So Paul, the scene is yours now.
All right. Well, having a vision and making it a reality, we may all have a different interpretation of what exactly that means. And I think that's probably the beauty of Circle of Fame. This turns into a mastermind approaching a singular topic from multiple angles. We've all had a chance to kind of digest this topic. And I think the best way to start is by looking at defining personal success. And the question is, what does personal success mean to you? And how do you envision it for others? And for one of the panelists to answer this question, I say we'll start with you, Rich. What does personal success mean to you, and how do you envision it for others?
Thank you. Lucky me. What a great question to start on. So there are two pictures, one in front of the curtain and one behind the curtain. In front of the curtain, the biggest picture for personal success for me is to be congruent with your heart, to be congruent with who you really are, why you're here, That's huge. Most people are on a hamster wheel and don't even get there. Behind the curtain, it's that wheel of life that every life coach uses that shows balance. There's so many areas of our lives, relationships and education and finances and all those things. To make sure that they're balanced is important, because any life coach will say the one that you don't work on takes you out, like faith or finance. It'll take you out and it'll mess up your life. So behind the curtain, there needs to be balance, but in front of the curtain, you absolutely have to be congruent with your heart. We're all here for a reason, and focusing on the purpose you get to step into that makes you feel like that's exactly what you're made for. That is tremendous personal success. Praise God.
All right. Next, what say you, Alan? What does personal success mean to you?
Right. Personal success has changed for me through my life. I did have aspirations for sports and athletics, and then that became superseded by career aspirations, and I worked up the corporate ladder. I got involved in more entrepreneurial things recently, but in terms of how I would envisage it for others, I think it's important to look at what opportunities you've got. And on International Women's Day, opportunities for someone who's in a Western, relatively liberal country are very different to those who are in, for example, in Afghanistan. And the pinnacle of success for the Afghanistan cricket team is that they left Afghanistan and they went to Australia to play, to be able to play. So I think how I envisage it for others all depends on who that other person is and where they're located in the world and what life chances they've got. Some people have got very few life chances, and it would be tremendous if they got the sort of life chances that I've had, or most normal Western people have, and particularly women are suppressed in many societies. So I think it just depends on where you are and what chances you've got.
Okay. Same question. Keeping things rolling. Farzin, what does personal success mean to you, and how do you envision it for others?
Sure. So I was thinking about this question actually this morning when I started my day with the contemplation. And I was asking, what does success mean to me? I just wanted that deep idea to come to the surface. You know what came to the surface? It was a ball game. So that meant to me that success means being an active player in the game of life. Because some of us are watching the game as it is played. And some of us even watch the recording of the game. But some people are like balls. They get kicked around from this side of the court to the other side of the court. And a few people are there in the middle of the field playing the game. So as long as I am the player, an active player, and there are different types of players, some just stand around, not contribute much to the game, and some contribute more. So as long as I am an active player in the game of life and contributing and expressing my unique values and create unique values to the world, it means I am on the path of success. And I believe that success is not a destination. It's a path that we take. As long as I am in that game and contributing, it doesn't matter if our team loses or wins, it doesn't matter. As long as I am contributing to the game of life, I am in the path of success.
Okay. What about you, Peter? What does personal success mean to you, and how do you envision it for others?
Thanks, Paul. For me, it's about creating impact. It's about creating memorable moments for people I come in contact with. And it's about living without regrets. It's that darn simple. That's what I think it is as far as I'm concerned. And it really means becoming more rather than trying to achieve more. As far as other people are concerned, I think I see their personal success as a journey, as Farzin talked about, it is a journey, okay? And it's a journey of radical self-awareness. And to me, the key issue is this. Are we in fact achieving the success we want, or are we trying to achieve the success that other people want us to achieve? That's the key issue.
I get it. And let's wrap up this question with you, Dr. Annika.
Okay, how I see it is, for me, personal success is something like odd or weird or whatever you would call it, as being and feeling healthy and having great human connections and having enough money to not have to worry about the money. And I am very far from those who just see the loads of money and fame as a success. You see, I don't have any longing to be a famous and a celebrity to be successful, but to be seen as someone who does good. That's more success for me. And I don't know how I envision that for others, but I hope that that's what I send out. And I'm on a journey doing good because I believe that if I feel good, it rubs off on others and they become at ease and spread goodness in their turn. So it's paying it forward on having this good state that you can feel in. And if I do get an overload of money on this journey, I know so many places where I can give it away, starting with caring for my children and my family, and then all the other places in the world, because I cannot take them with me when I leave this planet. That's my 2 cents.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, our next question, moving along, same definition of personal success, but this question is, what are the key elements that must be in place for someone to achieve lasting personal success? I'm actually going to start with myself just to get myself out of the way. I really loved what Alan said about in the first question. I think the example he used was women's rights and opportunities for the team to play. This all starts for me with a mindset, and understand I'm in the context of business growth. So sometimes I can be something of a necessary sociopath for people to delegate to. But in that sense, for business growth, you have to look at everything, whether it's good or bad, as an opportunity. This starts with a mindset. It's something you do intentionally. Whatever happens, in my opinion, the greatest question is always, how is this an opportunity? How is this an opportunity to help? How is this an opportunity to grow? But the elements that need to be in place start with the mindset. In fact, to me, that's 80% of it, but you have to have purpose. You have to have values. There's always a requisite of skills and knowledge. That's why I advocate having a niche, having a focus, but your action needs to be consistent and constant. And the value comes from your relationships and being supportive and getting support and not forgetting your well-being. So mindset, purpose, skills, action, and relationship and support, and don't forget to take care of yourself physically. That's my view of it. I'm curious, what key elements must be in place for you, Daniel?
Well, Paul, actually, a lot you've mentioned already. So, and for me, it starts really with the purpose, and that we do something which we're really passionate about and which align with our core values. So for me, it's as well about helping. It's about, for instance, giving back to society, helping people really for living a better life. Another element is really about passion, being really passionate and
All right. We lost Daniel. He'll be back. Alan, why don't you step in?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Daniel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, guys. I saw Zoom quitting. So yeah, it's about, having as well, embracing a growth mindset, wanting to see challenges as opportunities, wanting to learn as well, being humble. It's as well about having really clear goals, vision, being consistent with our actions and habits. And one last element is really about, I would say, mastering our emotions. This is very important because, you know, the more we learn to do that, the more life becomes at peace, the more we deal with situations, you know, with less stress. So yeah, this would be my elements. Thank you.
Okay. Farzin, what key elements must be in place, in your opinion, for someone to achieve lasting personal success?
So one key element that is important to me is being comfortable with not being comfortable. It means that we are all in the situation that we are moving forward, and there are some elements that is not the way that we want to feel. And what is our reaction to those moments? Because we have two choices all the time. We can take the path of love, or we can take the path of fear. And our reptilian mind are holding us always on the path of fear, keeping us in here, keeping the safe environment for our survival. But the important element is that we recognize that if we want to expand, we can choose the path of love. And it is okay to be uncomfortable sometimes, because that is a price that we pay for the growth.
All right. Hearing these examples, something tells me, Elena, you've got something to say about this question. You're on mute.
Yes, for me, success is a fulfillment. And it is also freedom to choose to do what I love to do, and doing what I love to do is so important. And also it is coming with being valuable person and create the value, because success is progressive realization of the worthy ideal, and when we create the value and share it with other people, this is how we can get compensated also. So when the focus is on the value, on the growth, on the fulfillment, on the raising awareness, consciousness, and getting into control, so we are not controlled by our saboteurs or by all these different things which coming outside in physical reality, but getting in control, knowing exactly what we want, what is our vision, what is our big goal, and live according to that every day, taking steps and achieving new goals. This is what success means for me.
I felt that when I heard some of the answers to this question. And Peter, finish us off. What key elements must be in place for someone to achieve lasting personal success?
Very quickly, 3. 1, clarity. If you don't know what success looks like really, then you're going to be chasing shadows. Secondly, that's already been mentioned by, excuse me, by Daniel and yourself, consistency. If you don't have habits in place, then you're not going to achieve the success you want, because motivation fades very quickly. And the third one is course correction. You need the ability to change courses and identify where you're going in the wrong direction.
Excellent. All right, now we're kind of moving into our second segment, and this is where we're talking about crafting a vision. This is something that's, I have no doubt, is at the core of a lot of the people on this panel, and it's probably something that might, in my opinion, get skipped more often than it should. The question that we're starting is, how important is it to have a clear, defined vision, and how do you create one that aligns with your true purpose? For this, let's start with you, Will.
Thank you. Well, first, there's definitely distinguishing between a purpose and your vision or your dream. You know, the purpose, it's not something you're going to cut open and find in yourself. You know, your purpose is what you say it is. So with what I do, my purpose in every interaction is to make a difference. That's my purpose. So I'm now working in the Middle East. I was asked to create a leadership program for people in the Middle East. And I spent a year creating that program. And then if it's not inside a vision, I'm just doing stuff. You know, are we going to get some revenue from this? How many people can we get to do this? So for me, without a vision, it's just doing all of these activities and, you know, trying to get a certain amount of revenue or a certain number of people together. So standing in my purpose, the vision for me needs to be connected with the purpose. It's got to be in alignment with it. So I'm up for making a difference. That's what I'm doing. All right, well, and now I work with many business owners who don't have a vision. Mostly they have goals, which is not the same, or outcomes. We want to produce this, or we want to get this happening. It's not the same as a vision. So a vision, you can see it, you know? So I start with, okay, why are you doing what you're doing? Well, I'm doing this because, you know, I've been asked to do a leadership program. All right, great. And why are you even doing that? Well, I got inspired by the question and I could see that there's lots of people to make a difference to. All right, good. Well, why do you care about that? Well, I can make a difference to people. They can then in turn make a difference to those around them. Good. Why do you care about that? Well, if they can do that, then we can have some sort of impact in the world. We can transform both the people I'm working with, the people around them, the people in, like that can transform all of that. Great. So ultimately, if you keep going like this, you go like, well, what does that look like? What's that look like in the world? And the vision for me is why I'm doing what I'm doing is I'm up to transforming the leadership of the Middle East. Boom. It's like, well, you know, what does that look like? Well, it looks like thousands of people. That's like, you know, working with the leaders of the countries. That looks like, you know, it's just all this opportunity in front of me from that vision, you know? So, I mean, I think we only have 2 minutes per person, but I could talk a lot more.
I bet that's pretty fascinating. Daniel, how important is it to have a clear, defined vision?
Well, first of all, it's about having a direction. You know, without vision, we don't know where we go. So, and then for me, it helps as well the motivation, because, you know, we know that, you know, motivation goes ups and down, and we need, you know, perseverance, we need discipline. So very important. When we have a clear vision as well, we eliminate the distractions, because really we focus on what we need to focus. It helps as well boosting our confidence and kind of the certainty in the path we are taking, and then it increases our fulfillment. Basically, again, so important is our actions have to align with our values and our purpose.
Makes sense. And I really liked what Farzin said in the previous question. You mentioned the reptilian brain. I think the reptilian brain is a much cooler way, in my opinion, to describe our subconscious. And most of us are not, I say most of us, humans are not that skilled at communicating with the reptilian brain. And to me, I get that, but having this clear, concise vision that is based on your purpose that you can see, if you repeat that and you can share that and your team can share that, that's the hack. That's how you communicate with that subconscious instinct reptilian brain. And when you're doing that, very important that whatever you're communicating to your survival instinct needs to be based on your purpose. And you know, it's got to provide the direction, but it's usually the result of some kind of self-reflection or visualization. But once you identify what your core values are, and once you align that with a purpose, the mission becomes easy. Like as Will said, once you almost have a statement, why? Oh, and why? And then why? And then why? Then you get to the core, this is what I want to achieve. And it's like a light bulb goes off, and then everything starts aligning. You're not just throwing individual things off the wall. You've got a purpose, and it's really easy to evaluate whether or not what you're doing is the highest best use of your time based on what your mission is. But given that, and the originator of the reptilian brain, what do you think, Farzin?
Okay, so let's dig into that reptilian brain and see what we can find. So Will was talking about asking why, and we all know that when we ask why a few times, maybe 7 times, we get to the point that we want to feel good for everything that we do. The motivation is that when we ask deeper questions, go layer by layer, at the end we want to feel good. So our reptilian brain is there to make sure that we feel good. So, and our reptilian brain are looking for a couple of other elements as well. It wants us to be safe and comfortable. So feel good, safe, and comfortable. So I want to present this idea. When I have a clear vision and attach those elements of being safe in that vision, being comfortable in that vision, and feel good. Those three elements are going to bring my reptilian brain on board. Otherwise, it's going to just kick me out and doesn't let me to move forward. So that is the trick. We have a vision and we assign those elements into it. We feel it. We feel good about it. And we feel safe in that environment. And we feel comfortable. Then we can move along much easier.
All right. How about you, Vangelis? How important is this?
Growing up, everything was always presented in such a complicated way. So many rules and regulations and procedures and formulas. It was sometimes overwhelming. And when I was about 50 years old, I realized I had spent decades creating visions and roadmaps and tasks lists and prioritizations. And I always felt a little bit of stress and frustration, and something just didn't feel right. So if you think about the events in your life where things just worked, do you think they worked maybe because you followed your heart, followed your gut, or like Razim just said, you felt good, right? So I was doing a summit years ago, and I was in a program, and they were teaching me how to do these summits, and they kept telling me, you have to send 100 emails a day, you have to do this, trust the process, just take action. It just didn't set with me. And so finally I said, okay, what is the deal? Why is this not working for me? So they kept saying, you're resisting, you're rebelling against the process, trust it. And I said, well, okay. So I started looking inside, and all of us have these unique abilities, unique skills. That means that all of us have unique journeys. So maybe the process that works for these million people don't work for these million people. And maybe I'm not being rebellious. Maybe I'm not being resistant. Maybe it's causing me to, and motivating me to look inside and saying, well, what's my soul telling me? Well, my soul is telling me, you have a different way. So I decided to read their books. I spent hours on emails, and I sent 50 emails and got 32 people. I just had to do it the way that my journey was. So I realized, well, maybe the reason I didn't have a vision was, if I know who I am, that helped me know what my purpose is, that helps me then realize the activities that align with my purpose in me, and there's my vision. And also one last thing on that, because we're always expanding and we're always extending, we're always growing, that means that maybe our journey and our vision evolves, which means maybe the things that we thought we were doing, we start pivoting and shifting. Life is, I heard it said many times today already, life is not a destination, it's a journey.
Very true. Very true. Dr. Annika, something tells me you have an opinion on this.
Yeah, I have a more practical opinion, or whatever you would call it. You see, to me, having a clear, defined vision is a way to have a direction to work towards. So I know where I'm heading, and it helps me to stay on track on my journey in my life. If I see this is where I'm going, we come back to the sidetracks and all that in the other questions later on. But how to do this? I always recommend pen and paper for planning. And here it comes to use to ponder and discuss with yourself about what your thoughts and dreams are. And then you can put everything on paper, and you will be able to see and compare and structure and restructure and ponder and dig deeper into your thinking of what is my true purpose. And in the end, you will find what you want, where you're going, and then you can have that as a base for the rest of your journey in your life. Thank you.
Well, in that vein of a practical application, next question is can you walk us through a process or strategy you use to help others create a vision for their life? We'll start with you, Rich.
You bet. I came to this, I came off of a program I was hosting today. Right before I came here, we were doing this. Two people had written a description of someone they clearly see impacting through their work. They both have gifts and they've both been doing things for a long, long time, and they want to take it to another level. So they can clearly see the types of people that they can impact. And they literally had written down the levels of impacts that they see having on those people, starting from the first level of impact. And everyone else who didn't even know them was answering the question, what characteristics and what categories of expertise must this person or this brand literally get credit for to make these impacts on these people? Here's the magic of the process, that when you start inside the heart and you ask yourself or encourage someone else to ask themselves, what impact do you clearly see having when you're thriving, when everything is working? Whom do you clearly see making an impact on and you really want to make an impact on? And you write down those impacts. I'm going to tell you, that process is not just insightful. It enables the person to be totally authentic to themselves, feel totally comfortable in the shoes of the way they move forward. It gives them a clear vision. Everything they say and do aligns. They have clarity and they have hope. Even when bad stuff happens, they have hope because they have the vision. That steps process starts with the vision of impact. And you got to get that from your heart. If you get it from out here, oh, pick your niche. Oh, what's your goal? Make your sales quotas. I don't want to simplify. Well, I do want to simplify. I guess the book I read every morning says there's two things that we're supposed to be doing. One is loving each other, sharing love, and the other is praising our Creator. And everything else is man-made. If we don't get those two right, we got to go back to number one. Barzan, I lift you up, my friend. Start at love. And inside, it doesn't matter. Like Will, my God, Will has the gift to literally shift the understanding and execution of leadership on a continent. Some of us have the ability to cook a beautiful meal. We all share love in different ways. But when you start with what impacts you clearly see making when you're thriving and you really want to make them, I think you're in the absolute right place. The vision's there. And the process is not difficult. It's just steps.
All right. Well, good intro to you, Will. What's your process or strategy?
Yeah, well, I started answering this one in the last question, which really is, I work with someone who doesn't have a vision, so I'll start with very simple kind of just like, why do you do what you do? How come you're in this business? How did you get into this business? Oh, and they'll if you keep asking that question, I can't remember who said it, if you ask why long enough, you'll get to a certain place. But when you actually inquire into, what is it about this? What is it about this that I love? Why do I love what I do? What is it I love? And maybe you don't right now. Maybe what you're doing right now is, just making it from month to month to pay the bills, keep the lights on. But you forgot why you got into that thing in the first place. Maybe you lost sight of your dream. You lost sight of the vision you had. And it's not like you have to recapture that vision precisely, but at least get in touch with what really matters to you. Once you're in touch with what really matters to you, and then you start to look at what are you doing, then the context for what you're doing, you start to expand, you start to create a vision. And then everything's inside that vision. Whether it's doing your exercises. Why am I doing my exercises? Well, I've got to be around. I've got to transform the leadership in the Middle East. I'm not going to do that in 1 year. I've got to be doing this for the next 20 years. I've got to be in shape, Or, I'm on a call with the translators and the translators are not translating each other correctly. And it's like, and you have to stop and go, whoa, I could get annoyed by all this. So you guys go away and sort yourselves out. Or I could wait. This is what it looks like right now, transforming the leadership of the Middle East. This is what it looks like, And so the context immediately brings back, being centered, being grounded, and being clear outside of the survival mind, inside of this is what we're doing. This is the context. Now we're all clear. Awesome.
I couldn't agree more. This is a big thing for what I do, and having a vision for your life, it matters even if you're not doing anything significant, it matters to have this vision in your life. I can't even count how many times people that were close to me had to leave a career or leave a field of study because they no longer aligned with what was going on in the company. They didn't align with what was being done. Well, that's a red flag that there was no clear vision that you hadn't gone through the process. You have to ask yourself, why do you do the things that you do? And it helps to get people to bring it out of you. You know, or if you're by yourself, the process, like I say it all the time, ask, when you have an answer, make a statement, ask yourself why, and ask why to the answer to that question 5 levels deep. And then you might start to see what's the real thing behind the thing. Your vision has to align deep with your purpose, with your values. But once you've got that vision, the process of setting goals or pivoting or changing or creating any kind of roadmap, it's really easy to evaluate. You can do it instantly because you know exactly what your vision is. When you don't know your vision, my grandmother used to say it was like throwing crap on the wall and seeing what sticks. And it's not a very efficient way to make decisions. So the process is really simple. Get deeper, get deeper. I love what Rich said, start with the heart, but that's usually where you end up when you start going deeper and deeper and deeper. All right. Our next question is, how can people clarify their personal or professional vision when they feel lost or uncertain? For this question, I want to start with Daniel.
Well, thank you for the question. And Paul, I relate to what you just said before. I mean, when we get lost, uncertain, I think we have to go back to ourselves. We really have to reflect. And so sometimes it means taking a little time to do that. Remember what really, I said, our vision is, what we like doing. And sometimes, we can, it can be with practicing, like, journaling and different things. And we've got as well to remember what our core values are, what our priorities, and then how aligned we are with these values. Again, it's about our strengths as well, our passions. Remember, who are we? And when we are lost, it's about as well visualizing what do we want in the future? How does it look like? And I would say the next element there is really to start taking some action. Small actions, go there, because then it gets out of our head. And I guess the last point, most important, is we've got to trust the process. We've got to have faith. We've got to really believe. We've got to go, because when we take action, things happen.
True, very true. Dr. Annika.
Yes, I'll go back to the practical. Because to clarify your vision when you're lost or uncertain, I would use the same pen and paper that you used before, and put things on paper so you can see, because that helps your brain to grasp it. And your brain can also see the different messages written down, so you can compare them and discuss with yourself or with somebody else, of course. All of these can, of course, be done with others or just by yourself. And if you only have them as thoughts in your head, some of them will soon fall off and you will lose that overview. And it's harder to find your real core vision if you keep putting them out of your head again. So keep it on paper so you can see it, because that's where you can make a real discussion with yourself to find, where am I heading? What's going on? What do I need to redo or change or whatever? That's it.
Okay. How can people clarify their personal professional vision when they feel lost or uncertain? Alan?
I was quite inspired on this subject by a couple that I learned about in the Midlands in England, and they're a middle-aged couple and their children had grown up. And they actually took in teenage orphan children, or children in need of protection, been taken away from their parents, and they actually fostered 200 of these children, and they found their purpose almost by accident. They just walked into it. Their family had grown up, and they found that they liked to help these teenagers. They didn't take young children, they just took teenagers. And sometimes this can be a very difficult age to adopt children at, but they did this for 200 young people, which is amazing. And I think when you look at the value that adds to society, it's just incredible. And that was something which became their purpose, but it wasn't in their earlier years their purpose. So I think that circumstances can give you opportunities to find your vision, find your purpose. And certainly I'd say that's applied to me as well. I thought I'd fulfilled all the things that I wanted to do, but now I find I'm trying to achieve a vision. So as your life changes, so you see opportunities to do things. And this couple I admire tremendously for taking on like 200 teenage children and successfully fostering them. It was amazing.
Okay. And finally, Farzin, how do you help people clarify their vision? I'm sorry. So what is the secret?
So
I'm
the
losing my.
secret is, the secret is looking at the signs on the road, because it tells us. You know, when you ask somebody what you want, they have to just think about it, and sometimes it's not clear to them, so we feel lost. But if you ask them what you don't want, they can tell you what they don't want. So the trick is, we all have those repetitive patterns in our life. And it repeats and repeats and repeats. And those are the signs, the road signs. We can use them to find the direction of where we want to go. Because when we are a child, what happens is that we know what makes us happy. And then we feel it in our heart. And the programming stage comes. You're bombarded with other people's values, the news, the society, the things that our parents impose on us, the beliefs, whatever. It comes as layers by layers by layers. And we are behind those layers. So we feel lost. We don't know where to go. So we had it in a childhood. So if we be able to go back to our childhood and find what would make us happy at that time, that is the clue. And even that is not easy for people, because there's something called heart wall. Heart wall is that when we just start the school, what happens is that before that, everything is fine. I'm taken care of by my parents and caregivers, and everything is fine. And then I go to school. I have to sit straight. I have to listen to the teacher, and I have to just behave the way that I'm not comfortable with. And I have to do the homework, and I feel betrayed by my mom. I say that, why my mom sent me in here? I was feeling great. And then all of a sudden I have to do those things. So we build a guard. We build a guard around our heart that limits our connection. Why? Because we feel that we have to protect ourselves. Life is not friendly anymore as it was before. It is hostile. So I have to protect myself. So we protect ourselves with building a heart around building a wall around our heart. And it's like a bomb shelter. So imagine that there is a country under attack and people go to the shelter and they lose their communication with outside world. Now the war is finished for a few years, but I'm still living in that bomb shelter. That is the same feeling when we have a heart wall. And based on the research that Dr. Bradley Nelson has done, more than 93% of people have that heart wall. So we are all living in that shelter. We are not communicating with each other clearly because we are all afraid of each other. We all believe that life is hostile, so we have to protect myself, that reptilian brain that I was talking about, which is about survival. But at the same time, we know in our heart that we want to thrive. So the first step is to dismantle that heart wall. And then when we dismantle it, that I do it for people. So what happens is that they see the vision. They see it clearly, what they want, what they expect from life. And then they can start moving towards it. So what causes people to not be able to have a clear vision is that energetic block that they have most of the time. But at the same time, if we look at the signs that life gives us, it gives us the clue which direction we have to move. If it's a danger sign on the road which says sharp bend, slow down, I know that I have to slow down, otherwise I'm gonna be dropped into the valley or the ditch or something like that. So I have to be careful. So it gives me the clue. Instead of going and fighting with that sign, I appreciate it. So when I have a pain in my body, that is like that road sign, which is directing me to the right direction. So instead of just pushing it back and hating that tumor that I have or whatever, I just take it as something that is guiding me towards a better direction in my life. So that way, if I be aware of those signs, eventually I'm on the right track. And sometimes it comes with something that we don't expect. We hit the ground, we fall down, free fall, down to the ground, and then we wake up. And then we see our vision.
All right. Well, wrap things up. I sense you've got a, knowing you, Rich, I think you've got something to say about the whole idea of when we feel lost and uncertain.
I'll be very brief. Writing down what we're grateful for is the beginning of getting out of that feeling of directionlessness and loss, and also knowing that we're never alone. We've been created by a creator that put us here for a reason. We are never alone. So making sure that we don't lose that connection and reminding ourselves what we're grateful for are huge. Now, there are some losses, like the loss of a loved one and other things that are traumatic, that are a different workshop. But if it's just we don't have a vision and we need a clear vision, or we think we're lost, or we don't know our direction, reminding ourselves all that we have to be grateful for, and knowing that we're here with our creator inside of us, and we're here for a reason, and we're never alone, because that aloneness is the beginning of dropping into a black hole that ends up sometimes taking people out. So those are huge, and I think they warrant being mentioned.
I agree. All right, moving to segment 3, and we're talking, all this kind of leads to goal setting, having that purpose and the underlying things first. But our next question is, what is the secret to effective goal setting, and how can someone ensure their goals are both achievable and aligned with their vision? We'll start with you, Peter.
Okay, thanks, Paul. By the way, excuse me, that was a very telling comment about gratitude, and I think that's I'm so pleased you said that, Rich, because it's critically important. But now on the goal setting bit. To me, I think goal setting, forget smart goals. I think they should be epic goals. And Elena, I love your approach of outlandish goals. The point of epic goals to me is the epic, the E stands for elevated. In other words, do they make you bloody excited? If they don't make you excited, if there's no emotion attached to it, then they're not going to happen. You need to have some emotional attachment to your goals. And the more burning desire you can have, the more they're going to be a realistic opportunity. The second one is personal. Is this your goal or is it somebody else's goal? The third one is implementable. Can you take action on the goal today? Because if you can't, it's simply going to be wishful thinking. And the C is challenging. Does it take you outside your comfort zone? If it doesn't take you outside your comfort zone, then you're not going to achieve the transformation you require, and therefore your goals have been set the wrong way. That's my point.
All right, epic. I like that. New acronym. I need to write that down. Alan, what's the secret to effective goal setting?
Okay, I think the secret to effective goal setting is leadership. And if I can give an example, London became the venue for the 2012 Olympics and there was a 6-year lead in to this. And all of a sudden, there had to be a vision. This was the vision that was presented to the Olympic Committee, and they accepted London's offer. So from having that vision to creating it to reality necessitated all the infrastructure, the stadiums, the villages for the athletes to live in, all the choreography, the dance, the music, all of this had to be organized in a definite space of time. And I was fortunate enough to know the leader who actually pulled this all together. And I found that he was a very persuasive and very knowledgeable leader. I never heard him ever raise his voice once, and he always listened to people who had problems in turning this vision into reality, because as you can imagine, the time diminishes and you get setbacks and obstacles in the way because there are interfaces with existing infrastructure, and London is a congested city, and this all had to be choreographed in the centre of London and come in on time and to budget and to quality. And you never heard anything about this project because it all went well, and the Olympics were a success for the UK. So to me, it's all about having the right leader who can turn the vision into reality and who knows what it takes to turn the vision into reality.
All right. And your secret, Farzin.
So we all know about continuous improvement. So when we are setting goal, we can set it in a way that is helping us to expand. And sometimes if we expand too much, what happens? We blast. So we have to go level by level. How? We set a goal which is outside our comfort zone, but not too far away. For example, I just want to make a goal for myself for financial situation that I'm in, and let's say I am making $50,000 a year or something like that. If I go ahead and make my goal million a year, it is there is a lot of resistance, and I'm not there yet. So what is the best way? I can extend it to the level that I feel uncomfortable. So I say that if I increase that value to $70,000, I still feel comfortable. Maybe $80,000, I can feel that is achievable. $90,000, I still feel I can achieve it, but I feel not very comfortable to be at that level. And that is the best point. So we have to get a place that is outside our comfort zone. And then we work on the blockages that we have that is causing us to resist. And then it's easier. So we work on the blockages. We drop those loads, the sandbags, from our hot air balloon, and then we go to the higher level naturally. And then when we are at the higher level, it is not at the end. So we just plan something on a higher level, but a stage by stage. Because if we want to lose the weight, or if I drop all the sandbags, all of a sudden that hot air balloon is just blasting off to the air.
Right.
It might send it out of the basket and I just fall down. So we have to just go slow, but outside of comfort zone. That gives us the chance to face our fears, the fear of success, fear of failure, and a lot of things that we just experience during
All
that
right.
time.
Next question. What tools, frameworks, or systems do you recommend for setting and tracking goals? I'll turn this one to Elena.
Tools for setting goals are simple for me. When Kennedy asked the rocket science the question, what is it needed to send the rocket to the moon? He answered, the will to do it. So the first, we have to have really big goal that will make us excited, and we have to ask ourselves two questions and answer positive for that. Am I able to do that? And the answer is yes, because we have such a big potential to do anything that we just can think about and dream about. It means that it is already there for us. Otherwise, we would never even have that desire. And the second question, am I willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal? And if the answers to these two questions is positive, this is the right goal. So the goal should be really big enough to inspire you and excite you, and also to scare you at the same time. And if you have that process done, you can go for that and you can grow on the way. Of course, the big goal requires the growth, it requires transformation. And the bigger goal you have, more energy and excitement you will have, and more you will be willing to overcome the obstacles. And about tracking goals, the tracking goals, as Earl Nightingale said, that success is progressive realization of the worthy ideal. So we can set the goals, tell no to everything that is not aligned with our goals, and do better 1% every day. Be better in doing things which are necessary to achieve that goals 1% every day. And we can say every day what I did better today than yesterday, what I can do better tomorrow. And we can track our success and be disciplined, of course, planning 3 to 6 non-negotiable actions which we can prioritize and which we know that are important to be done to achieve our goals.
All right. What do you recommend, Dr. Annika?
Well, guess what? I also said that tracking your goals is in a way simple. And my tools, they are pen and paper. You couldn't guess that, right? Because again, writing things down so you can unburden your brain from having to keep more than one thought at a time in there. That's the key. And you use this for setting your goals. And the framework that I use, that I help people to do too, is to have 3 columns on that paper, or you can have 3 separate papers. It doesn't matter. And with one is where am I now, and the other one is where am I heading. And then when you have, and you do that without making you feel bad or something, because this is just how it is. And this is where I want. And on the third part, or the third paper, you write what is the gap between what do I need to change, what do I want to do. And then you take that things that you have on the what do I want and need to do, and you make a new list on a new piece of paper and put down the steps that you see that you are to do to get going towards those. You don't have to see all the steps. You can just see the first ones, and start working from there. And you can track those goals by just crossing over the ones that you've done, and then add more as you progress. So it's a continuous process.
Okay.
Thank you.
How's that process look for you, Daniel?
Well, I have to say, Elena and Dr. Annika has already mentioned a lot of these elements. So it's quite similar, for me. We have a goal. We obviously we review them, could be, some on a daily basis, some on a weekly, some on a monthly basis. And perhaps the other element, which I would like to add, is really having accountability partners, people who remind us of our goals. And actually, we tell them what our goals are, and afterwards, they remind us. It's not like without any judgment. It's just like, if we are not, why are we not? How can we get back on track? What do we need to do? How can we refocus? So, and yeah, this is just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Well, and overcoming obstacles and staying on track is usually the chief mission of the accountability partners that you mentioned. And usually the biggest tool here is motivation, I mentioned this because it's a story I feel like I always like to tell because I think I'm proud of it. But when I was a young man in high school, I ran really fast, and I ran a 40-yard dash one time, and it was clocked at 4.4 seconds. I don't know. That's actually really fast. I was 17 years old, and today I'm 54, and I doubt seriously if I would line up and run 40 yards and have it timed that I would run it that quickly. But why would I'm 54. Men in their 50s running 40-yard sprints. What's the motivation to do something like that? It's not safe. I could fall and break a hip. I got things I got to worry about my back or my knees or whatever. But if I was in the woods and I saw a bear coming at me, I might get really close to that 1987 speed that I ran because I wouldn't be concerned about that because I was properly motivated. And proper motivation comes from within, but it's so much nicer when you have that accountability partner. So I'm glad you brought that up, Daniel, because I'm an accountability partner for a lot of people. And a lot of people are my accountability partner for me. And in that vein, tell me about overcoming obstacles and staying on track. Start with you, Alan.
Yeah, this is really about self-limiting beliefs, I think, where if you think you can do something or you think you can't, you're right, as Henry Ford said. And in this sort of modern age, you need to find ways of getting stuff done. And you really need to use those 5 words, who do I know who, to help you to get things done. Because there are lots of specialists and, you can't know everything yourself. All you really need to know is who the right person is to help you to solve your problem. And then you need persuasion skills to get the right outcome from that person. There used to be a saying that in British Rail, as it was the National Railway Company, you could get anything done because there was a massive resource capability of technical people and material and different sort of specialists. And if you knew the right person to speak to, you could achieve anything. But the constraints within British Rail were the rule book. The rule book is a book of rules that's assembled from all of the safety wrong side failures that have happened, all the accidents that have happened, all the things that went wrong. And so you can't do certain things. There's a massive thick rule book of what you can't do. But if you've got the knowledge and you know who can help you, you can get stuff done. So it's just an analogy, I would say.
I probably wouldn't use that rule book as a motivational book.
No, it definitely isn't a motivational book at all. It's the opposite. It's to get stuff safe. So it means it's very difficult to get stuff done, but you can find ways around if you know the right people.
All right. Well, what are your thoughts, Will, on overcoming obstacles and staying on track?
Yeah. Well, my next book is going to be called Go Back to Move Forward. So if people have stopped moving forward, and this looks like an obstacle, but actually what's happening is I'm not actually working on what I need to work on. Maybe I'm procrastinating, or maybe I'm getting distracted with something else. I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to do, I need to do to accomplish my goals. Then you got to start to look at, well, what's going on with you? What is going on with me that I'm just not doing what I need to do? So instead of trying to figure all that out, go, okay, what's the fear right now? Probably some fear, if you really tell the truth. And then if you can go, okay, what's this remind me of, And then, that's how I work with people and get them to, what happened? Something happened. And all of a sudden, you made a decision. You come to some conclusion. You decided about yourself, or you decided about others, or you decided about life, something. And then you have to compensate now, not for life, but for what you've decided about life. So now you're working hard to compensate for you've decided you're not very smart. So now you have to work really hard. And working hard does not always produce the result. Sometimes you need to be smart. Sometimes you need to delegate. Sometimes you need to bring in a team. So I think one of the best things you can have is a mentor or a coach, because if you try and sort it all out in here, you're not going to get very far. You can get it out here and see the thing for what it is. And then, we can all give advice. We can even know what we should be doing. But if something's stopping us, take the action we know we need to take, then you've got to look somewhere else.
Staying on track, Elena. think you know a little bit about that.
Yes. In order to overcome obstacles, first we have to have clearness of vision and definiteness of purpose. We have to have direction where to go when we overcome obstacles. Yes, we have to know what is it for, what is our why, and that why we should be very big. That is why we have to really have burning desire, the big goal, which is aligned with our vision. And what helps us to overcome obstacles is the first, I would say, attitude towards the obstacles itself. Because when we have the right attitude, and our goal is big enough, we know that in order to achieve that big goal, we have to grow. And this is how attitude to the obstacles comes, that we can see the obstacles not as a problems, but like a milestones on the way, which we can turn into advantages and learn from that, because we have to grow, we have to go out of our comfort zone. And this is what exactly happens, because obstacles are different at different levels, and what is obstacle for one person can be not for another one. So why is obstacle for us today? Because we are at this level and we have to grow anyway. And another thing is understanding the laws. When we look at the obstacles from the point that there is the equal positive in every negative and equal negative in every positive. So when we have this attitude and understanding the laws of the opposites, we can look positive in every obstacle. We can see how it can help me. Why is this situation given to me? How I can learn, how I can grow from this situation to be even wiser, smarter, and maybe this is exactly what we need. Because when we are in this situation, when we face the obstacle, it can be feeling very difficult and we can feel pain and we can start worrying. But when we look back at many obstacles which we had in our life, we can be very grateful that we had them, because those exactly obstacles which we saw as a problem became a blessing, and maybe because of that our life turned to different directions. Yes, and so we can be grateful to people who even created those obstacles, because otherwise we would not be today where we are today. And this attitude that everything what is happening in life is happening for us. Yes, so everything what happened, it was given for us because we had that goal and we had to grow, and it helped to become the person who we are today. And another thing is, of course, inner circle, mastermind, to having mentor. This is important to be among people who have big goals, who understand that the power of mindset, who can hold you accountable, to whom you can say and you can hold you accountable as well. So these are the tools that I think are very important.
All right. Round this idea up, staying on track, up for us, Peter. You're on mute.
Of staying on track or the obstacles? Which question?
But the question is about overcoming obstacles and staying on track.
Okay. To me, it's the 3 Ps, Paul. 1, paralysis. The second one is perfectionism. And the third one that Will alluded to earlier is called procrastination. Paralysis means when you're overthinking, all right? When you're waiting for just the right time for it to happen, okay? And you're just drowning in so many down options. And the solution to that is to take some action. Don't just sit on your butt. Do something, okay? Do something. Don't fall for that terrible decision. The second, perfectionism, is really the fear of getting it right, or more important, the fear of making a fool of yourself or failing, okay? And the third one, procrastination, as Will alluded to, it's not a time issue at all. It's a priority issue. That's what procrastination is all about. So the next time you're faced with resistance or an obstacle, I would say to people this: is this really an obstacle? Is it really an obstacle for you, or is it just an excuse?
Great. All right. Next question. What are the biggest obstacles people face when pursuing their goals, and how can they overcome them? Start with you, Vangelis.
My biggest obstacle was I wasn't living my life. I was living what everyone told me to live. And the reason it was an obstacle is because I didn't know it. It started helping me realize that when I would go out to a customer, I was always taught, ask them what their pain points are. And I would realize they don't know what their pain points are. And how many people do you speak with and say, oh, I'm doing fine, I'm doing great. I did that too. So when you don't even know you have an issue, when you don't even know what's going on around you, and you think everything is fine, because I was told when I first started at IBM, just imitate these guys. Well, how do I know if what they're doing is what's really the thing that's the best in my benefit or for the company? And I just started just going with following and following and following, and I was following the followers. It took me a long time to realize that, because how can someone help me to learn who I am if they don't know who they are? So it took me a lot of years. It wasn't until I was 50 that I finally realized something's wrong. And then I had to make a lot of changes. I had to change my environment. I had to leave a lot of things so that I could finally get, because Einstein says you can't fix the problem the same plane it was created. And that's what I was doing. And so that's how I started working with companies as well. As I say, look, you guys are inside the project. Have someone outside the project to help you see what you can't see. That's what a whole blind spot is about. I couldn't see my blind spots. So I didn't know I wasn't living my life. I just knew something was off. So part of the obstacles is to know you have an obstacle. And the things that we think are obstacles, a lot of times they're just minutia, but those are caused because we don't really see what's really inside. So to me, that's the biggest thing. And like most of you guys have already said it, find a mentor who has been where you are and is where you want to go. Because there were so many people that said, well, do this, reprogram your mind. How? Think positively. How? Okay, obviously you don't know because you're telling me what to do. I don't like that. Doesn't help me. Show me. Be the example of, were you here? Did you go to here? Did you go to there? And that's what I do with the customers as well. I help them go from here to there because I've already been there. So those are the obstacles that I see.
How about you, Dr. Annika? How do you stay, what are the biggest obstacles people face?
I think it's the biggest obstacles around goals is to stay on track. And the reason can be that there are too many shining objects around, tempting them. It can also be that you try to do too much or of one thing or too many things at one time, and it gets hard and you lose your energy, and then you go down in your brain and you it's easy to skip work and you get these thoughts that I'm not good enough, I don't know how, the time is too short, and you have all these negative thoughts in your head. And one of the things that you need for this is to use your willpower to get out of it. And you will need to structure your time one way or the other. And one suggestion is to make a schedule of your day, use a timer to stop and start in time. And you can use your phone because you can set the lots of times in the phone, and you can turn it on or turn it off depending on the day that you have. And don't forget to add small breaks and every now and then, and food breaks in your schedule too, because they are essential for you to stay energetic and actually keep on track with your goals. Thank you.
All right. How do you stay motivated and resilient when things don't go according to plan, Rich?
That's a great question. All right. So when things don't go according to plan, I think it takes us back to obstacles. Because you see the way you want it to work, and then something gets in the way and it's not working. A person gets in the way, a thing gets in the way. So let's take two ways they don't go according to plan. Number one is external things that happen. It's another person, it's something in the environment, and then there's the internal obstacles, the internal things, like you have a plan and you don't execute it. So very different. For the external obstacles, for the external things that aren't going to plan, looking at something that you think is in the way, it really is the way. There is no perfection, so things are going to happen, and your opportunity to deal with it or circumvent it or overcome it or just strengthens you and often prevents that same not according to plan to occur again. The internal obstacles, and I agree with Will Steele, and he is an absolute, deep deep down expert at this. And I think Farzin mentioned things like, the heart wall. If you don't know you have a heart wall, or Will Steele, if you don't know that you are in your own way, you're going to need somebody to help you see that. So make sure you have a coach who is trained in understanding the unconscious mind and its effect on our behavior, because it runs 90% of the bus, and have somebody to help you see what you don't see.
All right. What happens when things don't go according to plan, Vangelis?
My question usually is, whose plan is it? And how do you know it's not going according to plan? Because like a couple of people have already mentioned, it may be part of the plan. And what I normally like to do is to find out what your goal really is. A lot of times that people would, I struggle with this a lot. People would ask me to develop something for them. And I would say, what do you want people to do at the end of this? And they would say, for example, I want you to learn how to teach them how to drive a car. And I would say, okay, do you want them to know how to do everything, like the oils, the maintenance, the insurance? No, just the mirrors, the steering wheel, and the accelerator and the brake. That's it. Well, sometimes I just go away from those projects because I don't feel that my integrity will allow me to do that, because it's just not. I would feel bad after a month, and they go, "What's this?" Well, I wasn't allowed to show you that. So sometimes the plans that people make, I'm always wondering, what do you really want to achieve? Because, and some people, they're okay with just doing the minimal stuff. That's okay. But I want to know whose plan it is. What do you really want to achieve? Because in that respect, that little simple thing, that wouldn't have worked out that well for most people. But I don't think I could have participated in that. So redefine what you really want to achieve, and who's making that goal, and what is their objective for that goal. So that's what I would look at.
Annika, what is the importance of accountability in achieving personal success? And how can someone build an accountability structure?
Accountability. Yes. Accountability is the basic ground for success. And having someone you trust to know where you plan to go, and to check in with you at a regular basis to make sure that you are heading in that right direction. That's the basic for, keep on going, so to speak. And there are different ways to get accountability. And for me, I thought of a few things, and it can be a friend. But when you have friends as accountability partners, you have to be aware of that it's easier to cheat in front of a friend because you are biased. So it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing if that's the case for the moment. And it can be a business relation where you can be accountability partners towards each other. So you both are accountable to the other one. And of course, you can also have a mentor or a coach that is keeping track of you, and that is also then leading you and helping you in the right direction. And I guess that's the one that you would prefer if possible. And you can also have accountability if you are in a small mastermind where the group is accountable to each other. So there are different ways to do it, and depending on what your situation is for the moment, I would say.
Okay. Will, your thoughts on accountability?
Yeah, I think one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself is have someone that you're accountable to for what you're accountable to. So by having a coach, one of the biggest things about having a coach is you're being held to account. I'm making promises to my coach. I'm going to do this, this, this. And what I'm promising is action. If I don't promise actual actions that I'm going to take, then I've got no chance of accomplishing what I want to accomplish. And I promise them to the coach, my coaching call is coming up. I got to take these actions. I said I was going to take these actions. I'm not going to show up and say, well, I just didn't do it. I mean, I'm paying this coach all this money. I'm not wasting my money. I'm not wasting their time or my time. I'm going to make sure these actions are taken. That relationship causes things to happen in the world. Nothing happens without action. Nothing. You can feel however you feel. You can feel motivated, not motivated. But if you take action, something happens. Now, you might take ineffective action, so the results aren't so great. You might take very effective action, and the results are great. But how you feel, that's nice. That's great. It's wonderful if you feel great at the same time. Sometimes you don't feel great, but you take the action. Why? Because you said you would. Who to? Someone who's going to hold you to account. They're not just going to pretend you didn't say it. You're going to say, hey, so you said you're going to do this. Did you do that? Oh, great. What happened? You know you're having that conversation every time you speak to that person. You're going to show up having taken the actions. And if you don't, then I don't know what sort of conversations you have, but, you know, the conversations I have with people are all about taking action, moving things forward, and making promises and honoring those promises.
Awesome. Awesome. We've got a lot of great information today. Elena, in closing, maybe you could summarize what we got out of this.
Yes, I really appreciate everyone for participating. We learned so much about how to turn vision into reality, and I'm sure that everyone who is listening for us can learn so much. And I would recommend you to listen to the panel discussion few times, because every time you will learn something new. And of course, share with us what is your first step, how you want to take your vision to reality. Share with us what is your first step, what you are going to do today. Yes, what is your big goal, or what will help you to create your roadmap. And of course, ask questions. We would like to hear from you, everyone who listening to us today, and reach out to our amazing world-class experts who are sharing this wisdom. And I appreciate every one of you who were here today for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and your experience, which is so empowering and will help so many people who are listening to the panel discussions.
All right. Well, this is our fifth Circle of Fame panel discussion, and I think that this is turning into quite a bona fide mastermind group. Thank you, Elena, for putting all this together, and I hope to see each and every one of you on the next session. And I highly encourage everyone to reach out to one another if you have things to talk about. I can vouch for every single person on this panel would make a really good accountability partner. It's kind of what we ended up with. But thanks again. Thanks, Elena. And see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you,
And
Paul.
also thank you,
you.
Paul, for being amazing moderator for our panel discussion. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to see you all next time.
Thank you.
Dismantle your heart wall and ditch the pitch. Yeah,
Thank you, everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Good. I will take one more picture. Happy faces. Yes, great. Yes, and for someone who came a little bit later, I want just to make a quick announcement that from all panel discussions which we had, we created the folder and we put your videos. We created videos for every one of you. We cut them and put so many different videos. I think totally it is now 80 videos we created.
Great.
Yes, and we will share the folder which you can upload, and you will see all your videos there, and then you can share in social media. And please remember to tag other people, send the links in the chat in WhatsApp so we can go and comment and put likes, and let's get everyone to be seen and heard more and create awareness about these amazing episodes which we create.
Thanks again.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Elena.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.